Hello, and welcome to Alchemical Serenity, Pagan podcast with me, Carolyn, a practicing Druid Witch, regression therapist, and crafter of the ways for about 45 years. I love this path I'm on, and if you have found your way here by chance, then I hope you find the subjects I chat about of use to you on your path, and please subscribe. Tell me about yourself and your path, and where are you listening in from? And if you are a subscriber and you pop in for a listen whenever you can, then thank you for being here with me once again. It is lovely to have everyone here on this path of self-discovery. And after all, that's what we're doing, right? We're discovering ourselves and our path one step at a time, looking for answers to our purpose in life and why we are truly here. So as I record this, it is a bank holiday weekend here in the UK and the beaches are full. The hills, moors and vales are full, and my county of Leicestershire is incredibly quiet because many people have travelled off to the beaches, hills, moors and vales to squeeze in a break before the kids go back to school next week. Now in Leicestershire they break up 10 days earlier. It's an historical thing down to factory fortnights, and I'm not really going to talk about that in this podcast because it doesn't really matter, but I know many people listening in are probably thinking, hang on a minute, our kids don't go back to school for another 2 weeks, but ours go back on Tuesday of next week. Anyway, I wasn't actually going to do a podcast at all, but then I was scrolling through Instagram and TikTok, like you do when you're bored, and something dawned on me. My favourite writer of all time is Terry Pratchett. I have every book. I had the 1990s PC game, which was great fun, turning into a werewolf. In fact, I took 2 weeks off work to crack that game. I also own the DVDs. Yes, he did those too. And I had the Apple game on iPad that his daughter produced, which was my daughter thoroughly enjoyed looking for all the characters. Anyway, his sense of humour, along with thousands of others of us who read his books, is the same as mine. And I was thinking about him the other day when I was watching someone on socials and they were writing down a spell on paper and obviously caking it in cinnamon, as some people seem to do, throwing it into a fire to get some money. Now, if you're thinking, well, hang on, what's wrong with that? Here's the thing. On the path of Druidry, I don't do spells. That's not to say that others who follow the same path as me don't do them, as I know many of them do. But being very long in the tooth as I am, and having learned a lot about energy and where to shove it correctly when needed, I don't really do the spell casting. It's not something that I'm interested in. So my thought process was thus. Online you can find countless alleged witches showing you how to cast a spell on all the social media. In fact, we must be on burnout. We must really be at a point now of burnout. If it's not a bloody reel showing you where to shove your cinnamon, then somebody is writing another book on witchcraft in accordance with their path. There is no right or wrong way to do witchcraft or druidry, and anyone telling you otherwise needs to, basically rein themselves in and lose the ego. But there are more people writing another book, and it's like, what new stuff have you got? We have a cauldron, we have a wand, we have an athame, we have an altar, some plants, some herbs, bit of incense, chuck a few spells about, bit of healing. What is there? Oh, a cloak, a broomstick, useful. I was thinking, what else is there? Oh, tarot cards, tea leaf reading, candle making, candles. And I got to a point thinking, there's nothing more you can talk about. And there is a reason for that, and that is actually down to Gerald Gardner and Ross Nichols. Now, I actually wonder, what would Gerald Gardner think to the sinkhole that witchcraft is going down? When he sat down with Ross Nichols at their naturist resorts in Hertfordshire in the 1940s, discussing their interest in religion and magic, would they have been impressed with the utter rubbish coming out on social media right now? Or would they have looked at it and gone, nah, meh, whatever? I don't know. The impact that witchcraft has on the world really since COVID is phenomenal, because before then there was a good few craft practitioners out there and they were doing their stuff. They had trained properly, they'd experimented, they'd worked their way along their own path, either as a solitary practitioner or as part of a coven. The solitary practitioners took responsibility for themselves and what they did, and the covens ensure that novices were trained correctly through the degrees. Wicca is, after all, a religion. Druidry isn't. But we now seem to have an endless amount of utter rubbish online, and I even saw someone showing how they had dressed their house to look like a witch's cottage. Apparently, that's how witches live. And I looked round and thought, holy crap. Really? What? Oh dear. My house falls incredibly short of being a witch's cottage. I really must try harder. I might go find her and see if she can give me some tips, because after 45 years, I clearly have got that bit wrong. Walking this path is about you. It's not about casting a few spells for more money or banishing someone who has apparently upset you. It's about self-discovery. It's about going deeper into what you want from your path. It's about how you can be of service in your community and with other people, and how you can work with the land and with nature. The one thing witchcraft and druidry isn't is selfish, which I am seeing a lot of. This is all wrong, because these spells won't work and you can't chuck as much cinnamon as you like at them, and I have no idea. Someone's going to be listening and the podcast and say, oh, well, if your spells aren't working, then you are doing it wrong. But again, there is no right or wrong, and that's the biggest mistake we are making. Ultimately, this path is about how you handle the world and how you react to the path you are on. If someone has done something you feel is wrong towards you, then don't go and hit them back with a spell to send the energy back to them. Sit and have a think. Is there anything you could have done to prevent that happening? Can you repair the damage? And then go ahead and try. If you can't, then walk away from that energy, because banishing spells and doing something like that isn't going to banish a person. This isn't Harry Potter, and you can't just swish your wand and they magically disappear. When you don't learn that life lesson, along comes another one, and on you go, attracting the same people into your life, the same money problems, the same incorrect jobs, living in the wrong place, the wrong cat that wees on all your carpets. These are lessons that can't be flippantly washed away with a spell. That is just childish. But that's all for another podcast, or maybe a workshop here in Leicestershire. My point is, where do all these spells go? This was what I was thinking of when this person was doing all these spell casting. So one afternoon I sat down with some gentle music on, and I allowed my mind to just find the answers, to go deep and to look for them. Now, my imagination then finds that I'm seeing a coven of 13 witches meeting on a new moon to set their intentions. They meet on a hill where a fire has been prepared, someone has brought something nice to drink, someone has made some cakes. The high priestess announces, "Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen?" Because covens now are no longer just women. Everyone comes together in a circle to begin, and they work together to create the energy. It begins to flow around the circle, and each witch can feel it crackle behind them as they proceed through their own way of drawing down. Then at some point they begin to cast spells, and the spells go up into the ether as energy. They rise, and I imagine them all dancing off into the night sky. Satisfied that the coven has achieved what they wanted to do for that meeting, they close their circle, have a libation in the name of the Lady and the Lord, and they slowly drift off back home to cook tea, wash up, and feed the cat. Except my mind is still on the hill, and I'm looking up at the sky and the ether and asking, where did all those spells go? In my mind, I sit down on a bench that has just appeared, and I contemplate further. How do they work? How do we know that they are working? Did we do that spell right? And then a familiar voice next to me says, I've been thinking the same thing. And there in my head is Terry Pratchett, also pondering where these spells go, and we just sit in silence because neither of us can decide, and we have nothing to say. In his book, spells always take on a life of their own, which isn't always good. Then I hear 3 more voices in my head. Well, it's just Turgix, grunts Granny Weatherwax. Did they add enough cinnamon? Asks Margaret. No, they just need a good splash of beer, laughs Granny Og as she proceeds to head down the hill towards the pub, all parts of her bobbing and swishing along and a trail of pipe smoke in her wake. I laugh at the irony of reading too many Discworld books so many times that I can hear their voices in my head. But I still don't know where thaumaturgic happens. Who is thaumaturgic? Where do the spells go? Is there a place for spells, a bit like the Akashic records, where they sort of all end up neatly filed in boxes under our names, or do they just float about in the ether, banging into other spells in a sort of, oh, I'm so sorry, whoops, oh, I do apologise, I bumped into you then, didn't see you there, kind of way, or... And then my mind sort of says to me, well, do they talk to each other? Like, oh, hello, I'm a money spell for Jane. Anyone got a clue where I'm to go? Oh, hello, I'm a rain spell for Sarah's garden. What happens now? And a cacophony of spells are all jabbering away in my head in the ether, bumping into each other because they don't know where to go or what to do. Do they do their thing and then just go piff, puff, puff and disappear? Do they get filed away neatly by the Fae, who during the night gather up all the spells in little nets? What happens to these spells? They can't all be just left in the ether, flapping about, lost. Is there a master spellkeeper with his apprentice who signs the spells in as they arrive at the spells record office? After 30 minutes of loosely meditating on the matter, or maybe pondering is more like it, I asked my spirit guides, and guess what their answer was? Those spells that have been done correctly will have a short-term effect. Spells that haven't just disappear as the energy isn't strong enough to maintain them. So my thinking is that unless you make a serious effort with spells or intentions, then there's a lot of mismanaged spells floating about in the ether. They don't even float up or away or to wherever they go. They are just stuck, or they disintegrate. They are, after all, energy, and I suppose it's obvious, isn't it, that energy created by us for usually our own purpose, if it's not done correctly, is just going to fizzle out. At this point, Terry has left me. He's probably got a lot more exciting things to be doing in the spirit world, and I'm now looking at just the embers of a fire, and even the bench has disappeared. I head off down the hill towards the pub, because somewhere I can hear Granny Og, with her banjo, singing something about a hedgehog. So in conclusion to where I started from, because I have wandered off-piste a few times here, and of course you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below, I believe that it doesn't matter how much cinnamon you chuck at anything, unless you are prepared to look at your lifestyle, where you are on your path, and how you walk with the energy of not only the land area that you live on, but also the life lessons you have come here to learn. You can do as many spells as you like, and you can stir the cauldron in all directions, but it won't make any difference, because spells are the easy way out. They are there to appease you on your path. Do you have time on your path to work at high-level ritual, which is where Gerald Gardner started Wicca? Witchcraft has sadly been downgraded to gain followers for social media egos. So think carefully on your path. Don't throw spells around flippantly. Instead, go deeper and find out what you are here to discover about your soul purpose. or you will just have to come back again and again and again until you get it right. Thank you for listening in, and don't forget to subscribe for more musings on this path that we walk, with much love and light, and of course a big dose of cinnamon. Take care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now.